And while you're hitting record, can everyone mute, please? It seems like we're picking up background noise. There's someone shuffling. Please make sure you mute.
I think I hear Kevin mute. Kevin, I'm going to mute you. I muted Kevin. There we go. Okay. All right. So that was the first one. These are various different YouTube videos, so you can get to them pretty easily. All right. The next one is Smartsheet. Oh, I wanted to let everyone know that in Teams, I set up a. If this is going to swap. I set up a questions for the PMO in Teams, and I'm hoping that a couple people will also join and help answer questions with me. But essentially, if you have questions, I'm going to. I've got this set up, or I should have alerts set up. Let me see if I'm getting my alerts set up on that yet. Yep, I've got my alerts set up so that I'm notified when questions pop in here, and I'll have Kevin help answer those. And that way, it's not just me, but me and Kevin and anybody else who thinks they've got the answer to the question can help answer questions there. Okay. Now, a question I've gotten from several people is I've entered a SMART goal in with the form, and I marked that I'm still working on it. And how do I get back to my goal? So just to highlight that, I'm going to go back to my navigational hub. All right. So from the hub, there are these forms where you entered in your goal. And so that's where everybody started with the goal. Now, right here is an icon called Your Project and Goals. And so what this is are the forms that you have submitted. So when you click on it, it will show you another product called Dynamic View. And on the left, I have a lot more stuff up here, but you can ignore those. You'll find a My Accountable and My Responsible. And those will show you which projects you're responsible for, and you'll be able to edit those. So if you've put in a project, I have some test projects in here as I was testing it, but if I clicked on one, it brings up the form that I entered, and I can edit that form right here. And then when you get to the bottom, that question of are you ready to submit is there, and you can change it to this project is ready to submit, and then you'll get a save button that'll pop up, and then be able to have it set to ready to submit. Now, if that button is gray and not blue, that means something that is a required question is not answered. So by judging by the fact that that is brown, that means something up here got skipped. So if I come up here, these little red dots mean it's a required field. And I did not mark the transformational initiative. So if it's a transformational initiative, select it. If it's none, I'll put none. This is just a test project. And it's still brown, but it means there's something else. So I'll check up a little bit higher. The fiscal year. And I'm going to say this is for 1920. Now it's blue, and I can save it. That means I've answered all the required fields, and I hit save. And then that one's been saved. So that is how you update your forms after you've already submitted them. I have a lot that I've put in here, so you can ignore those. But just how you got there from the navigational hub was Your Project and Goals. You clicked on that and went to your accountable or your responsible forms. So that is how you do that. All right. The next question that we have here is how do I see a history of changes that have taken place on a sheet that I have? Okay. So on Smart Sheets, there's a history on all the sheets. So if you want to see something that's changed or who has made changes on your sheet, if you have a project, you can do that. So I'm going to just grab the first project I see. So I went into master, which shows all the projects in the system, and which is 97 projects right now. 97. All right, as soon as this pops up, it's always slower when it's on a video. All right. So the first project on here, I'm going to go into this one here. And let's go to the project plan. All right, so in the project plan, this project I know has a lot of updates that are done in here. So it give us something to play with. So there you got the project plan. So besides that, if you go to File and you click on View Activity Log, this will show you, as soon as it decides to pop up, it will show you all the changes that have taken place on your sheet. And it tells you when and by who. So I can see that who's been viewing the sheet, who's logged into it, and who's made changes. And if I wanted to look at those changes specifically, there's a little arrow, like 14 cells were changed. You can hit the down arrow and it shows exactly what the change was. So it was modified, um, was changed. They changed the date on that, and they set the thing to regional dinners. That's what they typed in. So they typed in the various different cells. So it tells you the changes that were made on each cell. Someone shared the sheet. You can see who shared it out. And so you've got all that history available. So that's how you get to the history of the whole thing. And you can do a sort if you want to find out, was it somebody attached something or someone did something in particular, like some changes to rows or exported and printed. You can find all the history to that. And you can set the date range on it. So you can filter out, find what changes have been done. And you can download the report here. So you can download it and take it to Excel if you like. So that's how you get the history of your project plan. So if anything was to happen to it, you could always find out what happened. Separately, you can go to a cell, right click on that cell, and do view cell history. So I just want to know the history of that one little cell, and I can see that back on the 4th, Kevin set it to 0, and on the 15th, Paulette set it to 100. So you got the history of each cell that you can check on all the cells and check the histories of those cells. So that is how you can see the history of a sheet.
Okay, now how did you find that again, Sean, for the project? Like just to get to that
Okay,
sheet, to go back. Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to start from the hub.
awesome.
From, let's say it was a focus topic or something, I'm just went to master, which is all projects in the system. And that has all 97 projects in the system listed below. So I just went to this first project. And everybody has read access to projects, except for the confidential projects, has read access. So you could always go take a look and see how people are doing things. But I went to the project plan for this particular project. You can do this on more than just the project plan. You can do it on any sheet has this history. But and then from there, I went to File, View Activity Log. And so that's where you got the full history of this sheet. So I could have gone to the RAID log, where they have where they track their risks and issues. And so they've got all their risks and issues they've been tracking. They've got, it looks like they've got something like 100 issues and risks they've been tracking. Well, you can come in here, same thing, File, View Activity Log, and here we have the history, and you can see what they've been doing. Looks like they've added some people to the sheet, or I added some people to the sheet. And then there's cells changed, what's changed. So the resolution date was changed from blank 819. So I can do that. And separately on each cell, I could come over here and view the history of the cell, view cell history. So it doesn't matter what sheet you're on. You can see that it was changed a few times, and you can see what it used to be. You can see the history of that cell. So that is how you check the history. All right. Let's see. The next question I have here is, how do I update my status? Okay. So you've got to update your status update, especially those with focus topics. All the focus topic status updates are due by Tuesday next week. So if you were a focus topic owner, these are all due. So there are about 40. Right now there's 34 that have been launched. There's 5 or 6 more coming. But essentially what you have is to do a status update, go to your project. So let's just, for example, go to this relevance index, the first one on the list. And from here, you can see there's already a status update that's been put because your status update gets loaded onto the main screen. But to do it, there's a status update button at the top. And when you click on that, it takes you to a sheet, and the status update gets entered into the next row. So if I was to come in here and start typing on this row here, answering work completed in the past month, I'd type that in. Upcoming work for the current month, I'd type that in here. What's going well, I would type it in here and just answer those questions across here. The most recent list or row will be your new status. So if I enter this new one in, it would go in as the new status. And so from the focus topics, let's see if we got Atlas portal, for example. This one may not have been updated. Let's see. This one. Okay, so this one has not had its status updated yet, but it's the same thing. You hit the status update button, and from in here, you answer the questions across the top. Oh, this one's an older one. This one's got an older template. Let's go to another one. EYO. What was this? EOYPO. Looks like some status has already been put in here. Let's go look at their status update where they entered it. They typed in a row here, and this is what showed up. It doesn't look like they put the color to the green in there, so it just kept the most recent green colors.
Okay, this is a helpful tool. I'm sharing this to all of my friends on Friday. When y'all enter this in, you have to go and press, like Smartsheet Sean, show them. Like if you entered in a text on that next line, you have to make sure to press save.
Yeah, hit the
which is
save
right
button.
next to that printer.
Yeah, so hit that save button, and then that becomes the current status as soon as you enter in that next row. Since this is a real project, I'm not going to actually do it, but yeah. So you type in your stuff into this row that I've highlighted here, and then after you put your stuff in, hit that save button. It will lock, and it'll become your current status. And these locks keep the history. So we've got our August update in here so that it won't get messed up. It'll be saved. Just like last year, they saved every month's status update. They had a spreadsheet that all those status updates were for every month. Same thing here. It saves the previous row. It locks it so it doesn't get lost. And those status updates get saved.
And I've noticed it looks like for the status to SMART goal metrics that a lot of the projects are leaving that blank.
This should be filled in. So this is going to be reported when they're looking. Depends on who it's getting reported to. For the focus topics, it's Sean and Scott. So the status to the SMART goal metric is you have your metric for your SMART goal. How are you doing to that status? Are you on target? Are you going to achieve it by that date? Just it's a narrative of, and just a sentence long is good enough. But I'm on target, going to be hitting it by this date, that sort of thing, or whatever the metric was. So if I was to go look at the charter, what was the metric project? Let's come down to success criteria, approved process for prospect sharing and monitoring conversion. All right, so this is a pretty basic metric. Usually you want to have something you can measure by a certain date. So this may get updated at some point here, but if it gets approved, this would be successful. If it doesn't get approved, it's going to be a project failure. So if they're on target to get this approved, then that's what they put in there for their status for that is project is progressing or not started or will be starting on this date, on target as of now for achieving process approved process, achieving an approved process. So you just basically want to comment on how you're doing to your metric. So that's what that is.
Sean, I have a quick question. This is Kate Chase. once you save your update and it locks, is there a way to edit? So yesterday I was updating a project and I naturally press save continually because I use Smartsheets all the time. And then I couldn't get back in and I couldn't finish the line. And I didn't know, maybe it was just my access or if there was a trick to that.
Yeah, so once the line is saved, there's not a way to get back to it. But so if that does happen, you can take your status update and paste it into the very next line. So like if I just copied that, brought it down into the next line, edit it, and then hit save, this is the line that'll get reported. It's always the most recent line that gets reported. So you don't have to worry about going back to fix the previous line. But yeah, it does get locked. And that was requested by senior leadership. So they want to.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Thank you.
Good questions. All right, so those are status updates. Anything else on the status updates? All right. If anybody's curious as to what is going to be reported on the focus topics, Scott specifically has a couple reports that he's looking for, and I've put those here so you can see exactly what's getting reported. So these two reports, I'll show you how to get here. Let's go back to the hub. So from the hub, if we go to the focus topics, which is what he's interested in for next week, there are 34 focus topics that have been launched, and we've got a goal report right here. And we also have this one down below. So we'll look at these two that he's going to be interested in. I'm going to click on it to bring it full screen. So this is the report that's going to be reviewed by Sean and Scott today and to the board next week. And you'll notice it has the status update questions that we just put in. So those are listed here. It has the color icons as they were put in. It's got the start and end dates according to the project plan, and the percent complete according to the project plan. So it's got that stuff in there, and so they can come through and look at all the focus topics and report on those. And if you want, if you come in here to say you have a focus topic and you come in here and you see it and you're like, ooh, I don't like the way mine looks, it actually is not correct, then you can go do a status update real quick, and this is updated in real time. So if I go do a status update right now to this global conduct initiative right now, then this would be updated as soon as I hit the save button on my status update. So we can take a look at exactly what senior leadership is going to be looking at right here. So this is their report. And then, oops, I closed it. I should have backed up. We'll go back into that focus topic. So in here, we have that first report that we just looked at. And then we have the second report, which has a lot less information. It's just in order. But it's coming from a different perspective. We have basically all the focus topics listed and grouped by their transformational initiative and their project ID. So we can see that what's been created and what hasn't. So this one doesn't have a responsible yet. And these two projects aren't created yet. Here's one that's not created yet. This one's actually a milestone of another project. So that's coming from another project. So we can kind of see the ones that are missing. So that's one of the reports. This one's probably not as useful to you, but that is one of the ones that they're going to be looking at. So you can come see what they're going to be looking at and make sure that your stuff looks good if you happen to have a focus topic. We're also going to create something similar to this for department heads that have that want to see how things are in there for their department goals. So we're going to set something up for the department heads for their department SMART goals, and then for managers to be able to look at individual SMART goals at some point. But those are not due yet. So that is two of the reports that senior leadership is going to be looking at. And there's one more. I'm going to go back to the hub. There's this executive dashboard that they're looking at, it's really summary level, and it's just looking for stuff that may stick out. So as far as SMART goals go, all the projects right now are marked as green. There's 87 of them. And then tasks and risks and issues. As far as the focus topics go, we have our 34 focus topics. All of them are marked green right now. No escalations listed, but we do have some project plan tasks that are late, and we have some with open issues. So it does list out some stuff that they can be interested in. And if they wanted to go look at that, so for the open issues, for example, if they click on that, it'll give them a report of where those are. And it's basically all the projects, it looks like, have one, and that's because the template has one issue on the template. And so when you open your project for the first time, you might want to go close that one example. So for example, on here, this one probably just hasn't had its RAID log updated. We go into that RAID log. Here's the RAID log. The first thing you might do is close your statuses on the example risk, the example action, example issue, and example decision. So that's why those are there, because it was on the template. But anyhow, that kind of shows that they are able to drill into a project if they see something that needs addressing, if they wish to. So I'm going to close that. All right, so next question. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. Okay, there's a question on the intake form that says project plan required, yes or no. Oops, let me go back to the hub. And what that is determining whether you're going to have a large project that has more than, when I say large project, you have more than 2 people that need to share information on that project, or you have a project plan that you want to lay out the tasks that are going to need to be completed. So let's click on the form. I think it shows up on the form. So project plan required right here, yes or no. So essentially, all the focus topics are yes, and then department goals, a lot of those are, committee goals are yeses also, because they're larger and they're going to have it. Individuals, if you have a pretty small individual SMART goal, like you're not going to be working with other people and don't need a project plan, you can put no if you want, and that will just give you a simplified dashboard that won't have a project plan. It'll still have a risk log, a RAID log, but it won't have a project plan, and it simplifies the number of templates you have. So that one is there, and it says yes or no. It's basically yes if you've got more than 2 people on your project, or no if it's just yourself. Okay, next question. How do I share my project with my team? Okay, so, I'm going to answer this one first. I put these 2 icons here. Someone asked, I can't find my projects. Well, they're all in master if you can't, if you want to look in there, or if it's a focus topic, it'll be in there. If it's a SMART goal here, but say you just want something simple. I just stuck this on here today, but what am I responsible for? If you click on my responsibilities, it's just going to list out which projects belong to you. And so I have these 2 that I'm responsible for. And so Service Cloud pops up. And so then it lists it there, and that will take you to the project. And so that's just a quick shortcut that I stuck on the hub there. And same thing for your accountables. So this is requested by a bunch of the accountables. They want to see all the projects that they're accountable for. Click on that. I don't have any that I'm accountable for, so mine's going to be empty. But if you click on that, it'll show you what you're accountable for. And it depends on who's logged in. So if you click on it, you're going to get a different list than when I click on it. It's who's logged in. So so that's what that is. It shows what you're responsible for and what you're accountable for. So it's a quick way to jump to your projects. Okay. That was, how do you share? So say you have a project. I'll just go to one of these. And you want to share it with more people on your team. That because by default, the people that have access to it are the responsible and the accountable. So if you're one of those, you have access to it for write. You can write to all those templates, but everybody else by default is only read access. So if you have team members that you want to be able to edit any of the documents on here, you have a couple options. You can do this share button. When you click that share button, say we put somebody in here. I'm going to put Tiffany in here.
I was going to say, I'm not seeing your screen change.
Uh-oh, did it stop?
Yes. So like what I see is just your smart sheet
Oh,
on the EO-YPO collaboration sheet. I'm not seeing the,
how long has it not been moving?
like, a minute.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
No one else is paying attention, Sean. This is what really lets you
No,
know.
I was about to chime in also, Tiffany. I was about to chime in too, because whatever last question was where you were walking us through it, it was all frozen on the EO-YO screen, YPO screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to back it up just a little bit to go back to the navigational hub. I have a shortcut on my thing, so it jumps me back here.
You don't have to brag about your shortcuts.
You can bookmark it too. That'd be a great thing. Okay. What I was showing is these two buttons here listed as my stuff. Whoever's logged in, it's going to show you what pertains to you. So when I click on this, it's going to show what projects I'm responsible for. If I click on this, it's going to show me what I'm accountable for. And what I click and show is going to be different than what you click. So if Tiffany clicks on this, it's going to show her project what she's responsible for. And if I click on it, it shows my two projects. So so that right there are just a quick way to see what you're responsible for. And those who are accountable for a bunch of projects, they can click on the My Accountabilities and see what projects you're accountable for. So it's a quick way to see your own personal projects besides going through the larger dashboards to get to the projects. So that might be an easier way to get to them. Okay. And then, and so then we were going to talk about how to share your project. So I'm going to go to one of my projects. Let's go to change management. And all right, so say I have, by default, the responsible and the accountable have the ability to edit these documents, but everybody else in the company, except for myself, is read-only access. And so if you have a project team and you want them to be able to edit the project plan or all these documents, then you're going to hit the share button. And from the share button, you can choose to add them in here. So say Tiffany's going to be collaborating with me on this. So I'm going to put Tiffany Walker in here, and then I'm going to change her permission to be editor, editor and can share. So editor and can share means that she can also share it out to people as editor access also. And then you have two buttons here. You can share just this dashboard that I'm on, or I can share the entire workspace, which is going to be all of the documents with this project. So I'd have two options to share it with her. And she'll get a message here that says invitation to edit unless I turn off notifications, in which case she won't get the email. But you can notify people when they're getting access to your stuff. So that is how you would share it out. So if you just wanted to share only the RAID log or the project plan, then say you just come into the plan because you only want them updating these two documents. Come in here and do the share. And then when you type in your team member, then just share the sheet only. And then they don't have access to the rest of the stuff. Or you share workspace and they do. Okay, so
Sean, can I ask a related question there? You mentioned
Sure.
emails. As I'm filling out the RACI and I'm putting in people's names, are they going to be getting emails about that project for like informed?
Yes. So by default, I think there are some notifications on there. Let's talk about notifications. That's a really good question. So we have notifications that can go out based on who things are assigned to. So by default, let's see what we have in here. So automation button here is where you're going to be controlling that. So on all your sheets, there's an automation button. And in here, we manage these workflows. And it looks like by default, there's 4. And so these are the alerts that are set up. And if you don't want alerts for your project, you can come over here and you can either disable them or you can delete them entirely. But these are the alerts and you can see what's in here. So this right now, by default, the RAID log has when rows are assigned to somebody, it's going to let them know. And if you want the details, let's edit. So on this one, it says when a row is changed, it's going to send to whoever it's assigned to this note that says an item in the RAID log has been assigned to you. Please review the status in the RAID log. So if you assign it to somebody, they're going to get an email or a notification that says it's been assigned to them. It also has another notification here about the RAID log upcoming target dates. So this basically says when a target date is in the next 3 days, that's 3 is in here. So it's in the next 3 days, it's going to notify the assigned to that their target date is approaching. So an item is due in the next 3 days. Please update the status to provide a resolution date. So that's a default. You can make your own. So these are what come in by default. So there's escalation. If you click escalation flag, it's going to alert somebody. It's going to alert me, so I can maybe help out. Same thing with that. You can create your own. So say you wanted to notify when something was closed or something like that, but you could do an alert, set up a reminder for yourself, or you can set up a reminder for someone else. You can request an update from people. There's various different ones in here. There's a whole bunch of different options. So say we're going to request an update and create. And so it's going to, whenever the rows are added or changed, say whenever the status changes, for example, say it's marked open. So if the status changes to open, I'm going to request an update and I'm going to send it to contacts in a cell. So you could send it to a specific person, or you could send it to contacts in a cell. You could have it notify yourself every time something happened. Contacts in a cell. Let's do who it's assigned to or reported by. We'll do assigned to. And then you can customize the message that's going to be going out anytime this happens. And then when you hit save, you've got your workflow set up to do this notification. And you can do this in the project plan too. And you can do this in any smart sheet, really. Just set up the notifications. So there's a bunch of different options you have for how to set up those by default. And you can shut the ones off you don't want to have. So I hope that answers questions. There's a whole lot of options, and without going through every option, you might just play with it. You can do a blank workflow, and then you can add conditions. You can alert, request updates, request an approval. You could have a whole approval workflow. You can add actions and conditions. You could have it branch out with multiple different options. So you have.
Now, look, Sean, you do not need to show us your WoW PMO skills. Like, this is overwhelming to all of us.
Okay.
It's wonderful, but you're going to have to like handhold us through that. And I know a little bit in Smart Sheets, but this is like amazing and then overwhelming.
Okay.
Can I get some head shaking?
All right. So we'll skip the advanced options you could do in here.
Yeah, I need simple.
Okay.
I think we're all in the kindergarten maybe level, and you're out in high school.
Oh,
for
okay.
those of us in the U.S.
Right.
And I'm just speaking really for myself, and maybe for Tiffany, it sounds like.
Okay. All right. So those are the automations that you can play with. There's a bunch of options there. If you wanted to collect data, You could do forms. I don't know if it's worth going into the forms, but you can create forms to request information. So you could set up a form, and this is basically how it was set up to collect your SMART goal in the first place with forms. But basically, these column headers are options that you could have in here and request. So if you're going to set up a form, let me know, and maybe I could help you out the first time through it. So, but you can have forms to collect information and stuff like that. Did I hear a question?
What was the name of your Teams group chat for questions?
The Teams chat for questions
I don't see it,
is
so I
right
just,
here. It's
I'll
under
sh-
Project Management Office.
okay.
And I said it as questions for the PMO, and it should be public for anybody that you should be able to add the channel, or let's see. I'm pretty sure it's public. Do you see it?
I'll look. Do other people see it?
I looked and I don't see it.
I can't see it either.
I found it.
You found it.
Mhm.
How did you find it?
If you go to Teams and Teams under Teams, and then at the bottom it says join or create a team. If you click that, it comes up.
Yeah, I'm in it too. So
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So that's how you do it. All right. When you have a project, if you want to add additional smart sheets and you want to keep them in the same location, right now, if you open up this side panel, and you hit the home button, it may be huge and full of all kinds of stuff up and down the left. So it's kind of a pain to look through there. But an easier way is, if you're in a project, let's go back in there, say change management. If you're in a project and you just want to see a quick way to your own workspace from inside a document, let's just go into project plan. So we're in the project plan. We want to see what workspace we're in. If you hit file and go down to properties, we can see what I'm in the change management workspace. And so if I wanted to add documents, and there's a folder inside change management, but if I click on that change management, it's going to open up my folder automatically. So I don't have to go searching for it. So whenever you're in a document, just go to properties. That's a quick way to get in here. And so then I can add additional smart sheets if I wanted to have additional smart sheets for my project. So just a quick way, and then from here I can get back to my projects. So I'll do that again right quick. I'll do it from the RAID log this time, but if you do file, properties, there's change management right there. That's the folder that this one's in, or the workspace that this one's in. This would be all the workspaces. Change management is specifically the project. So that's a quick way to get to it. And you click on it and it brings it up. Okay, so that you don't have to go searching through all that mess. Another thing is, if you're looking for something in particular, say from not going through our dashboards and stuff, but say we're just somewhere else, and I wanted to find change management, I just clicked somewhere else, so I'm not there. This search button is the easiest way to find something. I always just search for the stuff that I'm going to, so that I don't have to find my way through there. And if you're looking for a certain thing in particular, you can filter it. So sheet names, change management, there's my RAID log. And so I can get to my stuff be easy. So I'm into a charter and stuff. So that's an easy way to do it, is just to do that search button. All right. Did how we're sharing. How do I find my workspace? Close your initial RAID items. So just as a reminder, there was some, when the project's created, there's those default RAID items. Just to show you again right quick, in the RAID log, you have 4 items. Well, if we go down here, you can see at the bottom, I just scroll down to the bottom, you can see we got a bunch they're open by default. So let's go to our RAID log. Don't forget to close them initially. If there's change management, I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I don't have these showing up on the dashboard. So those are all closed. Those were all examples. This project, haven't kicked it off yet. So
Does every project or focus topic, should they have RAID items entered?
So the RAID items would be any issues or any actions. So if you have anything that needs to be tracked, this is a place to do it. Whenever I'm on a project call, I always have the RAID log open because while we're on the call, there's going to be some actions that come up. And in my experience is if you have an action and you don't assign a name and you don't assign a date, it won't get done. If you don't assign those two, you might as well not even take down the action. So basically, this is the only way an action ever gets taken care of is by assigning a date and assigning a name. So on my project calls, I always keep this log open and record the actions as we go.
And then what does stand-up agenda mean if you click that box?
Oh, okay. So sometimes when you're on a call and you want to just these don't get reported anywhere, but essentially when I have a project that's got 20 or 30 action items and I want to have a call that just covers certain items, I may check those so that during the call I only cover the items that I've checked. So it's just like a check agenda item for a particular call. This is just for marking them, so you can mark them in a list. So that's all that is.
Cool, thanks.
Okay. One last question I have recorded here. Do we have any more in the chat? My chat closed when I restarted my share. Let me open up the chat. Who will enter the regional forms? The RD or myself? All right. So when it comes to entering, I think the responsibles are the ones who enter in the SMART goals. So, but it can be either one. The responsible or the accountable can enter in the SMART goal. But typically it depends on who you're. There are a couple accountables that prefer to do it themselves. So there are some accountables that have been entering in all the SMART goals. But mostly it's been the responsibles entering those in. And then a lot of times they enter them in and then they review it with their accountable to make sure that their accountable is in agreement with what they've entered in. So let me hit my save button. So from the hub, a lot of times, let's see, I get this up. So when it comes to you enter it in using the forms, then you go in and show it to your accountable. They can take a look at the view. So if they look at the My Accountable view, they will see what they're accountable for. And when they see that they're accountable, these are all test projects of my own, but then they can look at it and they can update form also and make changes for the stuff they didn't agree with. So that way you can be in sync. The accountable and the responsible can be in sync. And what if we can't meet the deadline if regional chairs have not yet approved a regional goal? If you can't meet the deadline because they haven't approved it, if you can at least get it entered, that would help. But if you don't have it to enter, then I guess you can't enter it. And then we'll see. Basically, the deadline for getting the committee goals is in. As far as the regional, I don't know if there's a deadline for the regional yet. So the regional may or may not have a deadline yet. So what I do know of is that the individual SMART goal deadline has been pushed out to September 27th. So keep that in mind. The committee goals and focus topics were due on the 19th. So any that are not in are late. And then what we're going to be doing for the regional goals, I don't know yet. So let's see. One other thing to note is that we may have Smart Sheets actually come out to YPO to do some a training session. So they may actually come out. We're still kind of in the works of figuring that out. Because separately we were looking to find who was interested in going to Smart Sheets for training in Seattle. We have, I think, 5 people planning to go so far, first week of October. And so if you are able to have budget to go get Smart Sheets training and go to Seattle, let me know, and we'll let you know where we're going to be and figure it out. So reminder about Smart Sheets training here. You can click on this down here and use that link in case you didn't know about it. And this will take you to what's called Center of Excellence. And basically it's the Smart Sheet training at Smart Sheets, and you can get certified, do some courses, and learn about Smart Sheets here. Okay. What is in financial statements? Aha. Okay. When it comes to financial statements, right now, this is, that icon. Okay, well, let's follow that icon right quick. This is basically taking us to the financial statements list on SharePoint. So that's all that button does. It's taking us here. Separately, we're going to get linked to, I don't have an exact date for it yet, but sometime here in the next couple months, we're going to get linked with Financial Force and be able to pull that data directly into your project. So at some point, the projects will all show, when I say projects, I mean SMART goals. All your SMART goals will have a budget displayed if they have a budget. Otherwise, it'll be 0. So that's what that one does. But I have not actually drilled in to look at the financial statements before, but that's what that is. All right. Any other questions? I've been through my list of questions.
Okay, Smart Sheet, Sean. So here's me and my novice. I gave, for the focus topic, I went in and I entered in your form that you sent us about, all of the things, the SMART goals and all of that. Then I got assigned a PMO number. And I know now Tuesdays are the status for Sean that we need to fill this in. So do I need to go in? So I have a focus topic. What is my next step? Do I go into, because when I look at my responsible, how do I enter in my next steps? I have to then put in my whole project plan and fill out all of those sheets because it didn't transfer over from the form.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the next steps for your project will be to go in and do the project plan. If you've got steps, the project plan is there. You can make it as simple or as complex as you want. Basically, if you're tracking a lot of steps or not many steps. But the important thing would be to get the status update in, because that's essentially what's going to be on his report. So when you go into your project, this one here that needs to be updated yet. This stuff basically here in this section is what they get, that shows up on their report. So when you do your status update, this is the stuff that gets updated. And when you do the update, your as of month will show up here. The last status update, last time you did the update, will show up here. And all this stuff is what shows up on their report when you click on that status update button. And just to show you where it showed up, on the focus topic dashboard has the 2 reports that they're looking at. And you'll see here, it's got the same fields that shows up. So this is what they're seeing, the same color icons and the same data that's over here.
And I access all of that either by my responsible sheet or going to the focus topic sheet. But I think my responsible sheet and the focus topic sheet are not linking up the same name, but we can talk about that offline. But okay.
Okay. Do they not both have your project?
They're listed under different names. So we can. I don't know why, but
Okay. We'll have to look at
offline.
that. Okay. Yeah. Ping me on that one. Because hopefully your projects would show up under your responsibles. So that would be interesting to see if that's not happening. Okay. So that's, yeah. So essentially that status update is basically what you've got to get done for them right away. Now, if they were to ever drill into the project, that you might have the rest of the items. So the project plan, when you start coming up with your tasks that you need to do to complete the project, we'll put them in the project plan. If you're going to have any project calls with anybody, then you have that RAID log and start tracking your actions. Why is this so slow?
It's Friday.
It's tired. It's Friday. It's ready for the weekend. It's still, there we go. So, so the project plan and the RAID log are there. And if you wanted to see what was from your form originally, the project charter,
That's it. Okay.
it will show you what you've typed in previously. And this one doesn't have much in because it has me listed as responsible, but it's not going to be my project. I just screwed it up until we get a responsible person for it. But if we go to yours, it'll show everything that you entered into your form. And this is basically because I think they're going to print these out, and this will have basically a printout, a PDF of your project.
Okay, so will you go back? So that's awesome. So that form went into project check. Go back another one where it was just like the Excel, the sheet part.
Mm-hmm.
So milestone 1, 2, I go in there manually change those.
Yes, you can go in here and change these. You can delete these. So like if
Okay.
milestone 3 doesn't, you rename them, change them, indent them, outdent them. If you remember from before, you can indent them, outdent them,
Mm-hmm.
and delete
Tasks, subtasks. Yep.
Yeah, tasks, subtasks. Delete the ones you don't need. There's milestone 1 has some recommended tasks for you.
Nice. Okay.
But feel free to get rid of the ones that don't make sense. So this project plan is for you to decide what do you need to complete your project, and if you don't need any of that stuff, take it all out.
Awesome. So then for this other part, and this may overwhelm people or not, but trying to be helpful. So I put in my project plan. I sign it to myself, put the accountable, put in my dates. Are these sheets pre-programmed to automatically send me notices 3 days out, or do I need to go in and set my own bell?
Let's see. This one is a pretty default project. So let's see what we got in here. When an assigned row changes, so when you assign it to somebody, it's going to alert them. And that's assigning a responsible to it, assigned to. And then it says governance. You can ignore that one. That has to do with governance. All the projects.
Governance, it's no big deal. I mean, people,
Yeah.
you don't need Trish and team.
And then the starting task alert. So based on the start date, it's going to trigger and say you got a task that's starting on that start date. And then it says when it's gone past due, it's not complete, it's going to notify. So those are the notifications that are in by default: is the start date, the end date, and when it's assigned to somebody.
Okay.
You can add in more if you like, or take them out.
So basically you've made it hard for us, and like we're going to get a notice when it's late, but not 3 days before it's going to be late.
Yeah, so you might put one in for 3 days before. So it's late task alert. If we were to edit that, it says when the end date is in the past, then it's going to do this. But we could say when the end date is in the next few days, or if it's not in the next few days, or so you got some options on how to set it up if it's between certain dates. So you've got a few options. So you could come in here and make it notify you that it's upcoming, if in the past, and so on. So, and it could keep reminding you every day that you've got a task that is late. So if you've got some team members, it'll notify them, hey, you have a late task. It'll notify them every day. I think this is set to run, it's running weekly. So this one's currently set to run weekly, and it's going to notify them once a week of all the tasks that are late, that are assigned to them. So, but you could change it to daily for your team or whatever, because you're like, hey, if it's late, you need to know, that sort of thing. So, some options for
Sean,
you.
can I ask a question? Scott and Sean see the focus topic reports.
Mhm.
When we enter our individual SMART goals, do they see those too?
The visibility exists, although they haven't asked me to put a report together for that. What I think when the individual goals are put in, I think the department heads are each going to want a view of the SMART goals that belong to them. And so I may put dashboards together for the department heads that just list out the SMART goals for their department. So right now, the only ones that Scott and Sean have reports for are the focus topics. And I think they're going to want committee ones at some point, but right now they're just looking at the focus topics.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any last minute questions? We're at the end of the hour. All right.
You have one. Are you having these calls weekly until we can swim on
Yes.
our own? Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to have this every week, and I'll answer any questions that come in throughout the week and any questions on the call.
Cool. All right, Trish, we'll see who has more stuff. Between you, me, and Claire, it's a competition.
I'm known for my questions. So,
More
Sean, I just gotta say, this is fantastic. It's a huge help. Thank you so much.
Great. I'm glad it helped. So hopefully it makes things run smoother. Hopefully the status updates are simple enough where you're just having to do them once a month and everybody knows your status and you don't have to report it 3 different times to 10 different people. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks, Sean.